welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Seamless Connectivity and Standardized Networks, the Future of Hospitality. We are very excited to have you today with us, and please know that this session is being recorded and will be shared afterward. To get us started, I would like to introduce Carlos Gonzalez from Wincom Technologies, who will give us a brief introduction to Wincom, and later on we will dive into the main topic led by Christoph from Nomadix. Carlos, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Agnieszka. So good morning, everyone. As you know, Wincom Technologies is a master global distributor, so we are operating worldwide. And our expertise is mostly based on the wireless arena, not only fixed wireless broadband, but also Wi-Fi. So in beyond or behind or besides that distributor, activities, we are really, offering a myriad of additional services like consultancy, engineering, pre-sales, post-sales, and even, fine-tuning of the, existing networks. We have been diving into the enterprise market for the last 5 years, and I'm pretty proud, to introduce you Nomadix. Why? Because Nomadix is really expert in hospitality. I think the foundation of the company was really aiming to improve the guest experience, to get like a like home experience everywhere. So that's something that even they are being focused on. I think it's one of the vendors that it's suitable. Suits the most with the hospitality needs, not only for the current needs, but also they are looking at the future and pretty aligned with hospitality sector as well. So I'm pleased to have with us Christophe Amelin. Bonjour, Christophe. Ça va?
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Christophe is correct me if I'm wrong, is the super guy in charge of the marketing activities in Nomadix and product management, right?
That's right.
Okay, so I do think he's the best expert in order to explain, Nomadix position, the new, movement that we have now by, the news and so on, as well as the evolution of the company in the future as well. So thank you for, joining us, Christophe, and it's all of yours.
Well, thank you so much for the introduction. So welcome everyone. Yes, so Christophe from Nomadix. I'm exactly director of product marketing. So yeah, I'm in charge of positioning the product, some of its evolution, all the content around it, this presentation, doing some webinars, evangelization, and this kind of thing. So it's a real pleasure to be here with you today. And I'll just take you through a very simple agenda right now. First, starting with a brief introduction on the company, and then we'll quickly dive into our connectivity solutions, which is really the main topic of today's webinar. But for the people who don't really know Nomadix or haven't heard about it, it doesn't hurt to remind a few facts. So as Carlos said, we were very much created around hospitality. So back in 1998 in Los Angeles. So we are now a 26-year-old company. We focused very much on internet gateways, so how to bring the internet to a hotel and how to share it with a lot of users and how to onboard these users. Over the years, we've done lots of innovations, and we have about 140 patents that we have registered. So we keep on, we will still register some today. So we keep on innovating, keep on improving our products. We sell worldwide through networks of distributors, and we have an install base of about 50,000 properties. And if you wanted to see in terms of volume, how many users we support on an average year, we have about 2 billion connections going through our gateways. So that gives you kind of a size of the install base. So we started in hospitality. Since then, in the last few years, we also moved into some adjacent sectors. So the MTU or MDU or build to rent, it's all the shared accommodation. if you want things like a shared apartment service, or military base, or student accommodation, or shared office space, because it's very similar to sharing a network between lots of users who don't have anything to do with each other, and how to onboard them, how to secure that. So we moved into that. We also do retail, things like coffee chains and restaurant chains, education, some schools, again, sharing the Wi-Fi, onboarding the users, large venues like stadiums and conference centers, and we've done a bit of smart cities and transportation, so sharing the internet on things like the trains and the tubes and the buses and these kind of things. We are a big sort of a member of lots of industry associations, and we sell to all the big brands. So we are quite active in this industry. 1 year ago, we've been bought by a bigger company, HSIA Abloy, who are the leader in access technology. So in fact, this is our birthday, or the 1 year anniversary of the purchase. And what this means going forward in the future is a lot of joint activities that we're starting to work on. HSIA Abloy are really, let's say, the leader in door locks and door access to buildings and to rooms. And in fact, if you think about it, they do a very similar job to us, because they let people access, a physical building based on a set of profiles, who's got the right to do what, to access what part of the building. And we do the same job from a digital point of view, because we let people access the internet and different parts of the network, depending on their profile. And if they're a guest, we kind of limit some of that. We prioritize the VIP guests. We give them, the service that the hotel wants to give. So in fact, if you want, this explains this title, extending physical access to digital access. It's the prolongation of the HSIA Abloy strategy of now also having a solution to let people access different parts of the network. And also, a lot of the door locks and all of the infrastructure that goes into a building now is IP, so it needs a backbone network, whether it's a wired or wireless. And because we're an expert of that, it's a very complementary solution. So watch this space, because our R&Ds are working together. We're now a lot more integrated into the whole company, and there will be a lot of exciting joint solutions to come in the future. But for now, so this is what we're going to talk about. This is the Nomadix portfolio as it stands today. We've got 12 lines of products, which we've organized into 3 layers to make it simpler to remember and to have some kind of logic to the portfolio. So at the bottom, we have the connectivity layer, and this is where we put all the solutions to build networks and to onboard people onto the networks. Then in the management layer, we have, of course, the solutions to manage the network, but also to manage things like energy with energy management solutions, and also manage notifications, manage alerts, and we'll talk a bit more about that today. And then at the top, we have some solutions to engage with guests. Usually this is in-room technology, things like e-concierge, things like casting, and also a cloud telephone system. But for today, we wanted to focus more on the connectivity layer and the management layer for that network as maybe the key opportunities we have right here, right now. So let's dive a bit deeper into the connectivity solution portfolio. So you can divide it into these big blocks here. So at the left, what we can do more from a physical point of view in terms of building the infrastructure and managing the internet. And then to the right, onboarding users onto that network. And at the top, all managed from the cloud. So the internet gateways really are the solutions that bring the internet into the building and then share that connection, prioritize who's got access to what bandwidth and in what order and so on, and distributes it across all the guests. The network infrastructure, of course, is all the switches and the Wi-Fi access points to then bring this connectivity to all the floors, all the open space areas into the building. At the right, we've got our captive portals. So we've got several of them. We'll have a look at them. And then we have a new way of onboarding people, which is Passpoint. It's a technology that is becoming very mature now. And it's interesting, especially for frequent visitors, people who are coming back over and over, because it can really speed up how you bring them onto the network. And then at the top, we have our Nomadix Cloud. It's our single pane of glass to manage all of our products. So that's the opening picture. Now we can dive into each of these blocks in a bit more detail to give you more information. So starting with the gateways, so this is where Nomadix started back in 1998 and patented a lot of solutions there, a lot of innovation to create a solution that can bring the internet connection, so maybe one or more internet lines into the building, and manage them as a whole. They are very resilient. We have one of the lowest RMA rates in the whole industry. So basically, you put it in, it just works for 15 years without a fail. It's very flexible in how you can adapt the configuration to all the needs of a hotel, whether they want free internet or chargeable internet, whether they want everybody to have the same speed or they want a different tier of services, giving faster tier to their loyal customers and lower tiers to the people who just come in for one day. The value of this solution is really to align the guest experience with the hotel loyalty program. The way we do that is unique compared to a lot of competitors, because with us it's all dynamic, meaning that it will change depending on how much bandwidth is available at a given time. With a lot of competitors, they have to write all their rules fixed, which means when there's only a few guests in the hotel, you're now wasting bandwidth because you could give more, but it's fixed that you have to give this maximum. And then when you have lots of guests, it's the opposite. You might create problem because you've written, in stone that you have to give everyone a certain bandwidth, but you can't because it's not available. There's too many people. So with us, it's all dynamic, and that's the key, I would say, selling point of our gateways, is to adapt to the traffic. You put a whole lot of rules and thresholds, but they only start to apply when things get congested, when the network gets restricted. So it means that you don't really waste any bandwidth, unless you want to, by the way. It's all the decision of the customer. But if you want, you can use everything you've got during congested time and during non-congested time. You can build a whole lot of resilience. We've got high availability, load balancing, so between several internet connections, can build cluster of gateways. We've got native PMS integration. You manage all of it through the cloud, like I said, and you've got lots of modules that we've launched in the last few years. For example, you can have a firewall part of the gateway, so it means you don't need a separate box to manage the security on the site. And they are hardware agnostic, so the gateways will work with any vendor, whether it's Ruckus, Aruba, whoever, or of course us, because as you will see, we have our own range of network equipment as well. But we don't force you to use that. If all you need for now is a gateway, it will work with any vendor that you have installed already. We've got 3 models in the range. I'm not going to go too much into the individual specs, but we've got a small model, which is good maybe from hotels from 30, 40 bedrooms, all the way to, very large installations of thousands and thousands of rooms. As I said, you can build them in clusters anywhere to back each other up or to increase capacity. So they all have different sizing. And what's interesting is we run the same software across the whole range, so you don't need to learn different features or anything between all the gateways. It's all using the same software. So then to distribute this internet connection, we need some networking equipment. So here we have our own range of network infrastructure. The positioning of this range really is to try to offer the best performance to cost ratio to people, and to have another vendor for people who want to keep a bit of competition in their install base. Of course, a lot of hotels are already using Ruckus, Aruba, all these guys, and we try to be same or better performance for lower cost. And so far, we've been doing quite well with that. So we are aggressive, and we have a portfolio that is simpler than these guys, but tries to offer. We don't try to be the number one worldwide. We try to offer an alternative that is good value for money for the people who don't want to spend the extra cost on some of the bigger brands. So we've got a range, we've got a few switches, access points, and some management platforms, and I'll just go through what they are in a second. So starting with the switches, we've got 3 PoE switches, so 8, 24, and 48 port, and we've got 1 aggregation switch. 2 of our switches can have redundant power supply options, and you can build all of them into what we call virtual switching units. So they are stacks, if you want, but done a bit more cleverly, so you don't have some of the negative aspects of stacks. But you can build redundancy in that way. They're quite robust, and they can be managed either via CLI or via the application that we call our Cloud Monitor. So here are a few pictures of them here and some specs. Again, I think we're not going to dive into individual specs of each box, because today the point is to give you more of a global overview, and then we can have separate discussions if you want to know more. For the access points, we've got 5, so they're all Wi-Fi 6 access points. You've got some for different use case. We've got 2 access points that are wall plate, so you can deploy in a mode of 1 access point per room, and they've got some Ethernet ports. One of them has got PoE out, so you can power, let's say, an IP phone or something like this directly from the access point. And the other one that's a bit cheaper doesn't have a PoE out for the people who don't need that functionality. And then we've got 2, let's say, wall mount or ceiling mount, one for high density, one for low density, and we've got an outdoor access point. So we can cater for most of the typical requirements of customers. They've got lots of functionality in terms of security, client isolation. They support RACSec, PPSK, GPSK, passpoint, encryption. They also can be meshed, and they can be managed via CLI, web, or cloud. Oh, and they've got built-in BLE and iBeacon as well. So that's for the current range. And again, here you've got all the specs, but we won't dive into that. There's a couple of mounting brackets for the wall plate. So depending whether you have a cavity in the wall or whether your wall is flush, you've got a few options on how you want to mount it. So that's nice. In terms of management, so we have the option of having either an on-site controller, so we call it the local controller, so it's a box you can deploy on-site, or we have a cloud controller. They run exactly the same software, so there's no trade-off if you decide to have something on-site or something in the cloud. It's exactly the same functionality. The one on site, a single controller can support up to 448, up to 2048 access points. So 2048 is when you start to cluster several of these boxes together, but a single one will support 448 access points. And then if you go to the cloud, it's up to 10,000 access points per instance. And then when you run out, we run more instances, so it's quite easy to do and to scale. And then on top of all of that, we have what we call the Cloud Monitor, which is more there for centralized monitoring, the configuration, security, alarm, all the in-depth analytics for the entire network, not just the wireless LAN. So the controller is there mostly to manage the wireless LAN traffic and the configuration of that, and the monitor is to manage the switches, to manage everything in the network. And it can manage the controllers as well. So if you look at it from this angle, so you could have an installation with a local controller and some access points behind it. You can have an installation with a cloud controller and some access point behind it. You can even have standalone access points. If you think of a coffee shop or a retail shop with only one access point or two access points, you probably don't really need an actual controller for that. So you could have standalone access points and you can have switches. And all of this is managed at the higher level by the cloud monitor. That kind of is the umbrella application to support all of this. And then you only need the controller if you have a big enough, let's say, wireless LAN deployment. And you can choose between hardware or cloud controller. So that's kind of for that. Now we can move on to how to onboard people onto the network. And here we're going to start talking about captive portals. We've got 4 of them for different reasons, because they all require slightly different use case and different functionality. So we've got 4 different products today for that. The first one is we've got a built-in portal on the gateway. So of course, by today's standard, it's getting a bit limited because everything now is done in the cloud. But for the people who don't want to rely on a cloud portal, you have the option to do it from the gateway itself. It's got the full PMS integration and everything, so you can do quite a few powerful things with it. It's just that from a design point of view, now you can do much nicer stuff in HTML5 in the cloud and things like that. Whereas this one is a bit more limited, but it's there, and it's part of the software. You're not paying for it. It comes as a default, so it's there for people who want to use it, and we have a big install base of people still using this. So that's that. Then we've got 3 cloud captive portal. We have what we call the hotel portal, which is really targeted at the hospitality industry. And this one is really more than a captive portal. It's really a full end-to-end HSIA management, so high-speed internet access management, that will monitor not only the onboarding of the user through a landing page and these kind of things, but it will also monitor your internet line coming into the building. Through SNMP, can monitor all the switches and all of the equipment that's installed. It can manage tickets. It's got specific module for example, if you do an event or a wedding, kickoff meeting, and you want a specific landing page for 3 days, sponsored by someone with different onboarding rules, you can do that. So it's a really advanced portal specifically designed for the hospitality industry. And in fact, it was designed around the needs of Marriott. That's why it says here it's GPNS and PPV5 approved. It was first designed around what Marriott wanted. And you might know that Marriott in the industry have written a whole book on how to do networking, how to onboard people, that many other brands have kind of adopted as well. So it means that our solution is really kind of recognized and compatible with what hotels want to do in general. We've got a full reporting module as well for it, lots of statistics, analytics, everything that people want. So then we've done a different version that we call Captive Portal. It's a lighter portal that's more for the people who don't need so much the hospitality functionality. People like in the transport industry or in the retail industry and even in schools. So people who need something a bit quicker, easier to manage, they don't need all the features of hospitality. So we've done a version that is nice and light, needs almost no training because the interface is so easy to use that you can create a captive portal and make it live in a few minutes with no technical knowledge. You don't need to know any coding. You don't need to do anything. See, that's the difference with Hotel Portal. Hotel Portal, now we go quite deep because discussing with the brands, they will say, oh, can I have a portal that shows this if the user has come from here, he's come back to this hotel twice in the month, and he's also a VIP user, but he's not used this offer that we sent to you 2 weeks ago. So you get into very complex programming, which is what some of the big brands want. But so this one tends to require a bit of professional services to set all of this up. Captive Portal, the one at the bottom left, is very simple. It's really nice and light, and you can create scenarios very, very simply without all of this complexity behind. And then we've created the last one, the multi-tenant portal or build-to-run portal. MDU portal. Depending in different countries, this segment has different names. But it's really something that is focused on the rental market, where you have somebody staying in a place for an extended period of time. It could be years, in the case of a rented apartment. So it's got special features that none of the others have. Because, for example, you need a mini personal account for the tenant of the flat to manage their account, reset their password, flex up or down their subscription. We've got payment collection. So if the people who operate the building don't have a way to collect money for this kind of services, we can do that for them and pass them the money. We've got PMS integration, so two different PMS, because in the MDU world, it's not the same actors as in the hospitality world. So we integrate with the key players in this sector. So again, it's a full end-to-end service management platform. When we work with university campus and these kind of places, we can do mass provisioning. You've got thousands of people all arriving on the same day. You can do pre-provisioning. Everybody can be welcomed by an email. They get their QR code. They can get online. They can register their own device with no headache for the IT department trying to do this one by one and in like 5 different systems. So here it's really a nice all-in-one solution for either, like I said, a rented apartment in a block of an apartment block, or it could be student campus. We start to do mining camps, military camps. There's lots of these out. So it's nice to have a dedicated solution for that. The principle behind all of these portals is about the same. So you have the visible element by the client devices. So you design nice, brandable, multilingual, responsive pages to welcome the user. And you have lots of different ways of onboarding them. Whether you want name and the room number, whether you want to charge, whether you want just anonymous access, and so on, or you want them to put their email address. So lots of ways to onboard people. Customers can choose their own terms and conditions, and match the look and feel to their brand standards. The termination point on the site is going to be the gateway, but behind the gateway, you can have any infrastructure, or of course, you can do a complete end-to-end installation of Nomadix solutions and have our own networking equipment at the end. And then again, it's all managed through the cloud, through our single pane of glass, Nomadix Cloud. Quite intuitive, as I said, very quick and fast to create new services, and also private and secure. And by the way, we do not resell data. So any collection we do in terms of name, surname, email address, or whatever, first of all, complies to all the local regulations in terms of respecting privacy of users. But also, we never ever, the data belongs to the customer. We never ever sell it, monetize it, or do anything with it, which is, again, a difference with some other competitors out there who will monetize the data. Just a few examples of some of the pages you can design. I mean, the possibilities are endless. And the beauty of it is that, again, you start from an existing design. We have a lot of templates that we offer. So it's easier to start from one of these, and then you replace the different graphical elements and the text. We have translation services so that you can do multilingual pages yourself. So yeah, it's all nice and easy to do, instead of starting from a blank sheet of paper and trying to configure everything and code it and think about, what onboarding method do I want, and then try to code all of this. And as soon as you make a change, it will break the coding. Here it's all pre-done, so you can't break anything, which means it's nice because marketing people can do this. You don't need to be a technical person. You literally just go in there and you design the page how you want, starting from an existing design. Then I'll say a few words about Passpoint, because that's a different way of onboarding people. With Passpoint, the idea is to have a one-time registration, and after that, you never bother the guest anymore. It's a worldwide standard. So Passpoint is something that was created with the Wi-Fi Alliance. And in fact, our company was one of the contributors to the standard. We helped to write it, and we helped to prove it and to do the pilot sites and all of these things. So we have a lot of knowledge on Passpoint. And it took a little while to develop because you needed all of the operating system vendors, like Apple and Google to support it in their devices. You also needed network hardware to support it. But it's been a few years now, and we're at a point where we see Passpoint really booming. So the beauty of it is that you do this one-time registration, and then it downloads a certificate on your device. And as long as the network you're joining recognize that certificate, you will not be asked again for your room number and your surname or for any pop-up or anything like that. You're immediately onboarding. And for frequent guests, for example, talking to Marriott, they were telling us on one call we had with them a little while ago that for them, a frequent guest is somebody who stays on average 210 nights per year in one of their hotels. So if you imagine asking the same details 210 times to one of your favorite customers, that's really not the best experience. So Passpoint allows to do all of this only once, and then after that it stays in the background until somebody revokes the certificate, which the user can do or the hotel can do. But until somebody does that, your device will join the network without pestering you, without asking you for the same details. So it's got lots of very interesting applications, and it can really improve the experience. And because it will work in any network that is recognizing the certificate, you can now start to have links and alliances. So already within a hotel, you can have all of the hotels of one brand to recognize that certificate, but they can then sign an agreement with, let's say, a coffee chain so that they recognize each other's certificate. Or you can join an alliance. There's a few in the world right now, and it means that automatically, if you join this alliance, all the members of the alliance will recognize your certificate as well. So you can now have people being onboarded in a very transparent way onto networks, creating, for example, continuous journeys. Some things we are trying to do, for example, is continuous connectivity from the airport until the hotel. So it means that from the moment you land and you join the airport network, you could have a continuous connectivity, and then on the transport network, and then back at the hotel, because all of these companies that operate the different services between the airport and the hotel are part of the same alliance, and therefore they all recognize your certificate. So you as a user, you don't have to log onto something at the airport. Then as soon as you go onto the tube or the train, you have to log onto something else. Then you arrive in town, you have to log onto something else. Then you go into a taxi to finish the last leg of your journey, and then you arrive at the hotel. So you can now make continuous journeys. We've done this a few times here and there, and the possibilities are endless. And to do this, actually, the best experience is to do it via the app. So if the hotel has got an application, it's nice to do it within the app. This is just a quick example here. We're in 3 taps within the app, because in the loyalty app, we already know who you are. So we don't need to ask you for all these details already, because you're already signed in. So we just need to basically ask your agreement to download the certificate. And once it's there, that's it, it's done. And it's also a nice way to incentivize guests to download the loyalty app for the hotels. So we see a lot of interesting development and success with this way of doing things. So just to wrap it up from the infrastructure and the onboarding point of view, so we've got a bunch of equipment. So we've got different access points for different use case. We've got the in-room ones. We've got the ceiling mount and the wall mount, and we've got the outdoor one. They're all powered and connected via access switches that all have a PoE, and you've got the 3 different sizes here, depending on how many ports you require. And like I said, you can also stack them or build VSUs in our own language. You then have aggregation switches for the aggregation layer. You then choose to have a local controller or a cloud controller for the wireless LAN traffic. You have the gateway to connect you to the internet and manage that bandwidth and how it is distributed and all the rules behind it. And then in the cloud, you've got your cloud monitor to manage the entire network, and you've got the cloud portals and passpoint managed from the cloud as well for the onboarding of your users. So nice and simple on one slide. This is kind of how it all fits together. And I'll just finish off on the management layer, so the Nomadix cloud, so our single pane of glass. We have lots of different products. We didn't want to have 12 different interfaces, 12 different login and passwords. And if you have several of our products, you having to create 12 times the property and the users and so on. So we've centralized everything. So now we have this Nomadix cloud platform that centralizes, first of all, everything from an organization point of view. So an organization is, for example, a managed service provider. It's a reseller. It's a distributor. We also centralize all the users, the admins, and the different user rights you want to give them. All of your sites or properties, as we call them in the system, all the products, all the licensing, the PMS integration, the APIs. So you get it. The idea is that you don't have to build for each product a separate PMS integration or separate API. It's to have everything centralized. And once you've built it once, it can be used for all of the products on Nomadix Cloud. So just to show you a couple of screenshots, so this is the product section, for example, where you can access your different products, so all under one roof. And then when you get down to an individual product level, for example, this is a zoom in on the gateway fleet management module. So this is where you will be able to, first of all, register your gateway, monitor it. Once you've connected it to the cloud, you'll have stats on it. You'll have its license status. You can do backups and restore. You can do firmware updates, either manual or scheduled. All of your different sort of management functionality there from the cloud. And then I'll just say, one word. This is my last slide. So just one word also on this complementary management solution that we call Alerts, because it's a unique little solution that can be useful. So this was developed first of all as a safety solution for lone workers. So people who might spend most of their daytime on their own, for example, cleaning staff in a hotel, because more and more now they are one and they have to do 3 floors, so they could be working on their own for a long time of the day. And if they get harassed or if there is anything, even just if they faint, if they have a health issue, we wanted to have a way to trigger an alarm to request for assistance. So it's a little wearable badge that you wear on a lanyard around your neck. And if you press the button, it will send an alert message with your location to a predefined list of colleagues or security people to come and assist you. So that's the first thing that this solution does. It's also got an accelerometer, so if you fall, let's say you fall down the stairs or you faint and you collapse, it detects hard shock followed by no movement. So it will also send an alert to the same distribution list if it detects one of these, and again with your location. But then it does something else, which is quite interesting too, which is to monitor the Wi-Fi quality. Since it will be around the neck of members of staff that will go around the hotel all day, we've programmed it so that it will take measurements of the quality of the Wi-Fi as people move from floor to floor, room to room. So you can program it to say, take a measurement every 15, 20 minutes or half an hour. And then it will send that back to the cloud, and you create, let's say, a scoring matrix. So you say, I don't want my signal to be lower than this, and I don't want, I don't know, the bandwidth to be smaller than that. And this is a way to measure this and to send an alert, maybe this time to the IT department, if something falls below the score that you've set. It's completely unique on the market, and it's nice because when you open a hotel or when you do a refurbishment, usually the network is perfect. You've brought in people with Ekahau or some tools, and they've done the design of the network. But once the hotel reopens, things change. Within 6 months, there'll be new pieces of furniture, they'll do something else. And so the network coverage might change. So here, this is a nice way to keep an eye on it without bringing expensive specialists, and just to have an alert when the service is falling behind before a guest complains about it. And it's a nice and light solution. It's using the existing Wi-Fi and Bluetooth beacons to work, so you don't need expensive hardware to make it work. It's mostly the badges and the cloud platform to operate. So that's all I wanted to share today. So thank you very much for your attention. I don't know if there's any questions. We'll have a look at those in a second.
This is the right moment to write down the questions on the chat. They will be addressed. So we will give you time to do it if you have any questions. But also please note that if you have any further questions, so they will all be addressed later. We will be in touch with you. I will contact you. I will send the recording, and we will share with Christoph and Carlos your questions also later. I don't see any questions.
No, maybe it was all clear, or maybe it was a lot to take in. I mean, it's a lot of content. I appreciate that. But you see, in Nomadix, we try to have an end-to-end technology solution for the hospitality industry and some adjacent sectors. So you've got everything that you would need to make this work.
No, I think we have
something.
share the presentation. Yeah.
Yes. And by the way, this is why I put the slides with the specs of the switches and the access points, because then for people who will look at the presentation later, they will have those as well.
Yeah, I frankly speaking, I do think it's a nice presentation, Christoph. Thank you for that, because it's in a snapshot you have summarize all the Nomadix portfolio and solutions and services. As you are supposed to know, Wincon has over 60 vendors on the fixed wireless broadband and Wi-Fi and so on. In our experience, when we are approaching the hospitality, many of the vendors just only trying to sell access point. That's it. But what we love from Nomadix, and is our preferred partner for hospitality market, is Nomadix can speak hospitality language, because you fully understand what means hospitality in a global concept, not only the Wi-Fi connectivity and that's it. So that's something that's really important. And in our talks with the hoteliers, they miss this kind of unified centralized solution, not only APIs from one vendor, the management platform from another vendor, the whatever from another vendor. So in a single pane of glass, as you said, is centralized management for everything. So that means that it makes IT, staff from hoteliers the life much easier. So thank you, and I do think you are the right fit for any hospitality needs, not only current, but also in the future, because you are evolving your solutions as well, integrating additional skills and capabilities in your solutions. So, thank you for that as well.
No, that's a pleasure. And in fact, you're bringing up some interesting points. So, of course, we work with all of the other vendors, but the enterprise vendors, they don't really understand the hospitality. They have products they call a gateway, but they manage more traffic based on application type. And so they'll give, for example, priority to Salesforce and this and that. They don't know how to manage the network, let's say, based on a guest, and the guest can have multiple devices, because today a guest will have 3, 4, 5 devices. You'll have, a smartphone, a tablet, a laptop, a connected watch, something else, and then you come 2 guests staying in the same room. And so these enterprise vendors, they don't know if the hotel has a loyalty program and they want to give a guest, let's say, a 10 meg bandwidth or something like this. their solutions cannot do that because they don't know how to group, let's say, the 6 devices belonging to one person and giving them a specific priority, which changes dynamically based on how the network is behaving. So we really have a differentiator here. The other thing I hear all the time is, oh, we've got plenty of bandwidth today, so we don't need to have these kind of solutions. Well, first of all, maybe in a big city, you can get a 10 gig pipe or whatever to a building, but there's still plenty of locations that have to make do with whatever the local ISP can bring. So you need to manage this, and having multiple, let's say, ports to bring multiple lines to do load balancing, again, is something that's really useful. And making the most of that bandwidth for the site is good. And even when people say, I don't need anything, today we have all of these cloud managed devices. You just need Apple to release a new version of iOS or a MacBook, and suddenly you've got a 6 gig file that all of your clients are trying to download all at the same time when they're on automatic mode. So you will have congestion at some point. It's more, is it acceptable? Does it only happen once a year, twice a year, or is it regular? So I would really consider or ask people to consider these kind of things. If you want to guarantee a good level of service, you need to have these kind of solutions in place. Otherwise, it's best effort, and you will have some hiccups.
Yeah, and as a business traveler, my experience is when you go to a hotel, managed by Nomadix, the difference is, it's amazing, to be honest. So it's something that hoteliers must understand, that it's not only the Wi-Fi, but the management of that traffic and the prioritization of that traffic with the, enough secure levels and so on. It's mandatory. It's only also, for their own ratings. So it's like, the travelers are, rated the Wi-Fi like, the quality of the bed or the quality of the breakfast right now. Yeah. So they need, to look into that and say, okay, I don't see as an expense. It's I see like an investment in order to improve the guest experience and, reinforce the loyalty as well. So.
Absolutely.
So thank you. I think we are all over.
Thank you for this discussion at the end. I think I need to organize panel discussion for next time for you, because it's very interesting. And thank you all for joining us today. Carlos, Christoph, thank you for your time and expertise. So have a great day, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. We will stay in touch. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.